Well, Senator DeMint, we appreciate you joining us as always. A busy time here in Washington, D.C. We have a significant nomination to the Supreme Court, don't we?
It's an exciting time. I mean, this has been a roller coaster with the Trump administration, but you know, all in all, I've never seen a president more intent to keep his promises. And one of his key promises from the very beginning, and I know I was in the room and helped him put together that first list, is he was going to appoint good judges who would stick to the Constitution. And he's been true to that. He certainly was with Gorsuch, and I think he's done the same thing with Kavanaugh.
I'll be honest, when President Trump was running for office, I was dubious. I wasn't sure that he understood what a conservative justice really would look like, and whether he was really interested in bringing that about. And here we are, not 2 years into his administration. I think he might be the best president on judicial issues in my entire lifetime. Is that an outrageous statement?
It seems outrageous, but again, I was in the room when he was saying, I want to put out a list of 10 judges to show that I'm serious, to show the quality of the people that I will nominate. But he wanted to show, particularly I think Republicans in the conservative movement, that he would appoint good judges. And doggone it if he's not sticking to that list.
We as Christians and conservatives have really made the judiciary, and particularly the Supreme Court, but all of the federal judiciary, perhaps the central issue, certainly one of the central issues of what we're about. But for people who aren't familiar with it, why is that such a big deal? Why are these Supreme Court nominations and these judicial appointments such a big deal?
It's a great question, and it's become a bigger and bigger deal because we've seen the left fail to achieve their goals through the legislative process. But they have through the courts. So the Supreme Court changed the definition of marriage. They legalized abortion till the 9th month, at least until 10 years ago. So I think a lot of us as conservatives and I think thinking Americans realize that we have to put an emphasis on getting the right people on the courts, and we have to talk about the importance of sticking to those constitutional principles as written, as intended, not as has been interpreted over the years.
How is it that the court has attained this role? It's not the role that the founders set out for them. You read the Constitution, the section on the judiciary is extraordinarily short compared with the executive and the legislative branch, and yet they wield so much power now. How has that come to be?
Well, I was in the House and the Senate, so I've been in Congress, and Congress has just yielded its power to the executive branch and the courts. A lot of that has come from the way they write legislation, which is vague. It creates gray areas. So courts have to interpret what the law really means. And you've got lower courts making one decision. They come up to the Supreme Court. And almost by default, the courts have had to become legislators. So to fix it, we've got to fix Congress first.
At the end of this most recent Supreme Court term, Anthony Kennedy steps aside, announces his retirement. Why is that seat so particularly important on the Supreme Court?
Well, you know, he has been what they call the swing vote. So Kennedy seemed to go either way on some issues. And a lot of times when the decisions were 5-4 in the court, that he was actually on the conservative side. But on big decisions, on marriage and abortion and other things, he let us down. And so I think Reagan would have said he let him down. But he has served, I think, in an honorable way and the way he thought was best. But he was not necessarily, in my mind, true to the Constitution and a lot of his interpretations. So that's what we're looking for today. I really don't necessarily need a justice who comes out and gives all his positions on political issues. But they do have to convince me that they believe the Constitution as originally written and intended, and that the laws as originally written and intended, that's their job to enforce it. If the law is bad, it's not the judge's job to change the law.